It's peak mushroom season here in the Midwest, and if you're like me, your fridge probably looks like this. You got bags of all kinds of mushrooms that need to get used. Well, I got a great recipe for you today. This is just a simple dip, or it could be a spread. You can use fresh mushrooms, dried mushrooms, frozen mushrooms, mushroom duxelle. You can make it a spread, you can make it a dip, but most importantly, it's going to clear up space in your fridge so you can go back out to the woods and do it all over again. Isn't that what we all do? Here's what we're going to go over: fresh mushrooms, dried mushrooms, a quick caramelized onion how to, because it's really good in some of these versions, caramelized onion porcini cream cheese spread, and some variations that will absolutely blow your mind. They're so good. First, using fresh mushrooms. This is one of my favorite things to do with chanterelles, but not just any chanterelles. The late season chanterelles that are getting buggy in the Midwest. One of my friends will inspect the stem of every single chanterelle that I will cook for him, and yeah, if you mince them all up, no one is going to be the wiser. Okay, great way to use damaged or buggy mushrooms. You want to chop them by hand. A food processor is going to make them into mush. And I wash my mushrooms with water to ensure they're perfectly clean. So they're going to give off some water in a pan, cook them in a dry, nonstick pan until the water comes out. And we'll add a little pinch of salt there. And this will take a few minutes. And then once they get kind of dry there, now we're going to move them to the side. And we're going to add some cooking oil. And now we're going to add some minced garlic and finely diced shallot. And you want to take your time and just kind of cook that until the shallot is nice and tender. You don't want that to be raw. Eventually you can mix them together, but take your time. Herbs. I'm adding fresh thyme. That's kind of my go-to, but you can add all kinds of different herbs. If you're adding one that's not thyme, I'd add it kind of at the end. When the pan's getting dry, add a splash of wine. And that's basically it. One of the keys here, we're going to add just enough sour cream or binder just to barely bind it and make it stick together. This is I call it a dip. On menus, I call it mushroom caviar because it's mostly mushrooms. It's crazy rich. Season it to taste there, and it's ready to serve. So good. So easy. Okay, dried mushrooms. A couple important things to go over here. Every type is going to be different. There's one with black trumpets and marsala. Here I'm going to use porcini. And like I said, different mushrooms are going to act differently. Fleshy mushrooms like porcini are going to take a little extra attention because they really need more slow, dry cooking to enhance their flavor and make sure that they don't get gloppy. So just like the fresh mushrooms, we're going to mince them by hand. This is after we've rehydrated them. They don't have to be perfect. And you can do this in a stainless pan too. They're going to be more liable to stick in a stainless pan. And you'll see kind of what I'm talking about here about them getting gloppy. Add some of the cooking liquid. We'll add some thyme again. You could add a little bit of cream. I did to this one. And you're going to see why this is not ideal. And I should have remembered this because it had happened to me before, but I managed to catch it on camera and I was like, oh shoot, I'd done that before. Okay, adding roasted garlic. That's a fun little variation you can do. I will do that sometimes instead of fresh garlic. But now you can see here, I'm going to add the sour cream again, but now I'm going to kind of slow it down. You can see that looks a little snotty. And the reason that is that to the best of my knowledge, it is a product of bolete pores. The pores on mature boletes can get like that. I've had stock get like that. So there is a way to get around it, and it's a method that I use also to dry out hen of the woods when I'm making duxelle. So it's not the end of the world there, but also the flavor is not as good. We just need to work to get some of that extra water out, and I'll show you how to do this in this version. But first, we're going to make some caramelized onions to go with it. So this is how to make caramelized onions like a boss. I know it's a slight tangent here, but I just am very particular about my caramelized onions, and a lot of times people cook them until they're just like absolute mush. They should not take you more than, 15-20 minutes to make. And I'm probably going to have to use this to make a separate video just because I'm kind of a freak about it. So you can see that I cut how I cut the onions. We're not cutting them in the long way, they were cut the short way, and we're cooking them in a pan with just a little bit of oil. And the secret here is I am just adding little splashes of water. So the water is going to continually kind of deglaze the pan. There's no sugar. See, just a splash of water, tablespoon at a time. We're doing medium high to high heat, and we're just cooking using the natural sugar of the onions to glaze themselves. And we just keep going here, cooking them down until the onions are just deep brown mahogany. But again, no sugar was added to this. And this, I did these in, all of about 15 to 20 minutes, just casually. And you can keep going as long as you want. You can really cook them down. You can make them to like jam if you want. Okay, removing the moisture from dried boletes, hen of the woods, and others. These are the same porcini that I did in the previous recipe that we went through, but instead of adding the liquid, I baked them in a 350-degree oven with the shallot, and then when they're golden brown and caramelized, then we're going to pick up with the recipe where we left off. So we're going to add some wine. Now we're going to add the cooking liquid, and you can see that it kind of saves them from being gloppy, and the flavor is way stronger. Now we're going to add cream cheese to this one, and I'll just adjust the texture with a little bit of sour cream or yogurt if I want. It just depends on what you want to do with it. And there's a lot of things you can do. Finish it with some fresh herbs, taste and season until it's just absolutely awesome and you would make a shoe taste good. Okay, variations and serving ideas. Okay, these are so much fun. Okay, hands down, the coolest one that you have to try is smoked mushrooms. You can add just a few spoonfuls, or you can add it. You can make it with all smoked mushrooms. These are the wood fire grilled Saccharomyces seriatina late fall oysters that we did earlier this spring. So I do these and I keep them in the freezer, and then I just pull them out of the freezer and they're ready to go. Okay, pierogi filling. All things potato, baked, fried, soup, roasted, pierogi. You can use frozen mushrooms as a quick pasta sauce, sandwich spread, crepe filling. Use it to make dumplings, or you can just have it on toast with a couple creeping bellflowers. So much fun. The full recipe is on my website. There's a link at the top of the video description for that. Thanks for watching.